If he makes a peace treaty on this basis, they fought for 3 years for not much. So he can't make that peace.
For the full recording and much more, go to geopoliticalfutures.com/ClubGPF.
What I don't understand, what none of us understand, is what the politics are around Putin. So to say that the economic sector is disaster at this point is understating it. To say that the oligarchs are furious at him, they invented him. And all their money is tied up in American and European banks, and they can't get at it and haven't been able to get at it for 3 years. And now Trump is making the right threat of massive sanctions on Russia and on anybody who trades with Russia. Okay, in 50 days. Okay? That would pretty much break them apart. His situation is very similar to Lyndon Johnson's situation during the Vietnam War. He got into a war. Kennedy started it off, but he was shot. He carried out a war that should have been a slam dunk. Hell, the U.S. Army, the Marine Corps, the Air Force against the Vietnamese. Slam dunk. At the point where he thought he had pretty much eliminated the capability of the Vietnamese, they smashed back, knocking out Da Nang, all the bases. Okay? And it suddenly became apparent that we weren't going to win this war. It had been apparent to most of us, well, before, that we weren't going to win this war because we couldn't define what winning was. This cost Johnson his job. It used to be that the Soviets had the Central Committee, the Presidium, they had all sorts of institutions that even if Stalin wasn't afraid of them, he managed them. Khrushchev was, and Brezhnev certainly was. Now, Putin came to power after what happened in Yugoslavia. We had a deal. The Russians bailed us out by bribing Milosevic to give in. It was a couple $1 million, but it was Russians who delivered it. Chernomir didn't handle the deal. They figured they were going to get to share in the peacekeeping in Kosovo. Bill Clinton, when they landed at Pristina, the airport in Kosovo, they were surrounded by American troops and held down. That's the moment Putin appeared. Putin came out of this saying, look, we are not going to be able to work with the Americans. We're not going to be able to be peacekeepers on their side and so on and so forth. And he also emerged out of the hands of the oligarchs. The oligarchs were former criminals who'd made a lot of money, and they wanted him to be in charge. Well, he quickly showed the oligarchs that he was in charge of them. Make no mistake. And he totally distrusted the Americans after that. The problem that he has is that he never built a structure around himself because he was afraid of everyone. So he's out there, a lone ranger. If he makes a peace treaty on this basis, they fought for 3 years for not much. So he can't make that peace. And what he's threatening now, and this is where we get to the point, he has started talking about, he talked a little bit about, I hope I don't have to use tactical nuclear weapons. That was an interesting thing to hope for. All right, that was a hint. People around them are now saying that they are prepared for an air war against Europe if the Europeans give weapons to the Ukrainians, which they are doing. This is where we get back to the Germans. The Germans have become, in a sense, the center of gravity of Europe, in the sense that they are deploying brigades in Lithuania, rapidly building up their force capabilities, and very much behind arming Ukrainians. The Poles are worried about everyone. The Poles are worried about the Russians. They don't even like the Ukrainians much, and they certainly hate the Germans. So leave the Pole out of the equation for the time being. So what is the center of gravity of Europe? Anyone can have it. Okay? Britain could have had it, but they said, to hell with that. We do not want to be the center of gravity of Europe. The French said, "Wah, I am a center of gravity. I don't have to do anything more." So that didn't do anything. The Germans moved. That's what he's doing. He's taking the center place of there. And he's talking about the threat to Europe because in Russia, they're talking about the final act being an attack on the European cities. Now, this is talk, and they're talking and letting us know that they're talking, so they probably don't mean it. You don't give that away. But there's on the table an idea which is a combination of his previous statement that he's prepared to use. He hopes he doesn't have to use tactical nuclear weapons. On the other side of the equation is the fact that if he doesn't do something radical, he's toast, personally. Okay? So you got the banking system collapsing. You've got no advances going. You've got over 1 million casualties, a lot of crying mothers and wives and stuff like that. You've got a very unhappy country. And so, given the fact that he's very powerful and has no one to block him, there is a school of thought that believes that the rumors that he's putting out here that there will be missile drone attacks on Europe proper if they don't get some more territory. And that one of the reasons that he can't give in to Trump's demands is he couldn't survive them, and that his only option is that. Therefore, what the Germans are doing is telling Europe to prepare for the war.